The Deep Space Monitoring Station on Saturn's moon Titan wasn't known for excitement. Dr. Samira Hassan had spent 3 years studying the endless stream of data from the Quantum Interferometer Array, searching for signs of intelligent life among the stars. She never expected to find it practically in Earth's backyard. "Director Petrov, you need to see this," Samira's voice trembled as she triple-checked the readings. The massive structure orbiting Europa had somehow escaped detection until now, its quantum signature suddenly flaring to life after centuries of dormancy. Within hours, the discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The orbital construct was undeniably artificial, a sprawling latticework of crystalline structures spanning nearly 10 kilometers, its geometric patterns defying human engineering principles. The International Space Coalition assembled their finest team within days. Dr. Rashid Patel, the renowned quantum physicist from Mumbai Tech, joined veteran astronaut Commander Yuki Tanaka and xenoarchaeologist Dr. Marcus Blackwood on humanity's first mission to study an alien artifact. As their ship, the ISS Prometheus, approached the structure after a 6-month journey, the team could hardly contain their awe. The crystalline megastructure seemed to pulse with an inner light, its faceted surfaces refracting Jupiter's glow in impossible ways. "It's beautiful," Dr. Blackwood whispered, his practiced professional detachment crumbling at the sight. "But why here? Why Europa?" Commander Tanaka guided their vessel closer, her decades of experience evident in the precision of her approach. The ice moon's magnetic field might have been significant to their technology. "Look at how the structures aligned with Europa's magnetic poles." Dr. Patel's instruments were recording everything, his expression growing increasingly puzzled. "These energy readings, they're like nothing we've ever encountered. It's as if the structure is trying to tap into the fabric of spacetime itself." The first EVA team, led by Commander Tanaka, discovered an access point that seemed designed for beings not too dissimilar from humans in size and shape. The alien airlock responded to their presence, scanning them with beams of coherent light before granting entry. Inside, they found chambers filled with crystalline computers, their alien interfaces dormant but somehow still preserving their ancient data. Dr. Blackwood's xenoarchaeology team worked tirelessly to decipher the alien language while Dr. Patel studied the underlying technology. The breakthrough came 3 weeks into their mission. Dr. Patel burst into the command center, his eyes wide with excitement. "It's a quantum energy harvester," he exclaimed. They were trying to extract zero-point energy from the quantum vacuum itself. Unlimited, clean energy, but on a scale we've barely dreamed of. Commander Tanaka frowned at the holographic displays. "If it's so revolutionary, why did they abandon it?" "That's the fascinating part," Samira chimed in via quantum entanglement link from Titan. "According to these decay patterns, they just gave up. The entire project was abandoned mid-construction about 400 Earth years ago." Dr. Blackwood's team had finally decoded enough of the alien script to find answers. "Listen to this," he said, reading from his tablet. "Project terminated due to fundamental instabilities in the quantum collection matrix. Theoretical maximum efficiency cannot exceed 62% without risking catastrophic cascade failure. High Council deems further attempts futile." The team gathered around the central chamber, where a vast crystalline core hung suspended in a web of exotic materials. This was meant to be the heart of the harvester, the nexus point where quantum energy would be gathered and converted into usable power. "They thought it was impossible," Dr. Patel muttered, his mind already racing with possibilities. "But they were working from a different set of physical assumptions. Their mathematics, their understanding of quantum mechanics, it's simultaneously more advanced and more limited than ours." Commander Tanaka recognized the gleam in his eyes. "You think we can make it work?" "Not as they designed it," he replied, pulling up complex equations on his tablet. "But their failure might be our opportunity. They were looking for perfect stability, trying to control quantum chaos. But what if we embrace the chaos instead?" The implications were staggering. Humanity had not only discovered proof of alien intelligence but inherited their grandest unfinished project. As the team began preparations for a more permanent research base, Dr. Patel's words echoed through the ancient chambers. They abandoned it because they couldn't see past their own limitations. But sometimes, the greatest discoveries come from building upon the foundations others leave behind. The structure continued its silent orbit around Europa, its crystalline surfaces reflecting Jupiter's light, no longer just a monument to alien ambition, but a challenge to human ingenuity. The real work was just beginning. 6 months after the initial discovery, Europa's orbit had become humanity's most ambitious research site. The ISS Prometheus was joined by 3 additional research vessels, their hulls gleaming against the endless night. A temporary research base clung to the alien structure's outer framework, housing over 50 of Earth's brightest minds. Dr. Rashid Patel stood before the holographic display, gesturing at complex quantum equations that seemed to dance in the air. The aliens' approach was fundamentally flawed, he explained to the assembled team. They tried to impose perfect order on quantum chaos. It's like trying to freeze a river solid to measure its flow. Dr. Isabella Torres, a theoretical physicist from Argentina, leaned forward in her seat. But their mathematics, it's decades beyond anything we've developed. How can we possibly improve on their work? Because we're not trying to improve it, Dr. Patel replied with a hint of excitement. We're going to completely reimagine it. Look at these quantum stability matrices. They assumed any deviation would lead to catastrophic failure. The base's quantum computing cluster hummed in the background as it processed simulations. Dr. James O'Neill, the team's chaos theory specialist, pulled up his own set of calculations. They never considered that instability might be the solution, he added. In Earth's quantum computing, we've learned to work with quantum uncertainty rather than against it. Commander Tanaka watched from the back of the room, her experienced eyes noting the growing excitement among the scientists. How long before we can attempt a practical test of these theories? The question sobered the room. Dr. Torres pulled up another display showing the crystalline core's complex structure. The materials science alone is beyond our current capabilities. These quantum-sensitive crystals, we can barely understand their properties, let alone replicate them. But Dr. Nadia Volkov, a materials engineer from Russia, had been unusually quiet during the discussion. She now stepped forward, her tablet displaying detailed scans of the alien crystals. Perhaps we don't need to replicate them exactly, she said. Look at these growth patterns. The crystals aren't uniform, they show signs of adaptive development. The team gathered around her display as she highlighted various structural anomalies. These aren't manufacturing flaws, she continued. They're more like evolutionary adaptations. The crystals were designed to grow and respond to quantum fluctuations. Dr. Patel's eyes widened as he processed the implications. You're saying we don't need to build perfect crystals. We need to grow imperfect ones that can learn and adapt. The next few weeks saw the research base transformed into a crystal growing facility. Dr. Volkov's team worked around the clock, using modified versions of Earth's protein crystallography techniques combined with quantum field manipulation. Their first attempts produced nothing but worthless shards, but each failure brought new understanding. The problem isn't just growing the crystals, Dr. Volkov explained during one late-night session. It's teaching them. Each crystal needs to be exposed to specific quantum fields during its formation, like programming a computer through hardware rather than software. Dr. O'Neill's chaos theory models proved invaluable, predicting which crystal configurations would be most receptive to quantum training. They began growing crystals in nested fields of quantum probability, allowing the structures to form across multiple possible states simultaneously. The breakthrough came from an unexpected direction. Dr. Torres was studying the alien language archives when she noticed something peculiar. These aren't just technical specifications, she announced one morning. They're more like recipe books. The aliens were literally cooking these crystals in quantum probability fields. Working together, the team began to crack the alien crystal growing methodology. But rather than following the precise, rigid protocols the original builders had used, they introduced controlled chaos into the process. Each crystal grew slightly differently, developing its own unique quantum characteristics. It's like the difference between training soldiers and raising children, Dr. Patel observed as they examined their latest batch. The aliens tried to create perfect, identical components. We're letting each crystal develop its own personality. Commander Tanaka watched through the observation window as another crystal took shape in the quantum growth chamber. And you're sure these imperfect crystals will work better than their perfect ones? Dr. O'Neill smiled, pointing to his latest simulation results. In chaos theory, we have a saying, the perfect system is often the most fragile. Our crystals aren't just imperfect, they're adaptable. When the quantum fields fluctuate, they'll flex rather than break. The first full-scale test of their modified crystal matrix was scheduled for the following week. As the team made final preparations, Dr. Patel found himself alone in the central chamber, staring up at the alien structure's original core. You tried to impose order on quantum chaos, he whispered to the ancient builders. We're going to surf it instead. Throughout the base, equipment hummed as the team prepared for their first attempt to succeed where an advanced alien civilization had failed. The modified crystals pulsed with an inner light that seemed somehow wilder, more alive than the steady glow of the original components. In less than 24 hours, they would know if humanity's unconventional approach could achieve the impossible. The day of the first test arrived with a tension that seemed to crackle through the research base like static electricity. Every available sensor was trained on the modified crystal matrix, while the team monitored from the heavily shielded control room. Beginning power-up sequence, Dr. Isabella Torres announced, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface controls. Primary containment field stable. Secondary fields, fluctuating within expected parameters. Dr. Rashid Patel watched the readings with intense concentration. Remember, we want those fluctuations. The aliens saw them as a flaw, we're using them as a feature. The modified crystal matrix began to pulse with an otherworldly light, but unlike the steady glow of the alien technology, this light danced and shifted in complex patterns. It was beautiful, but also somewhat unsettling, like watching a thunderstorm from the inside. Quantum field coherence at 30%, Dr. O'Neill reported. Chaos patterns emerging exactly as predicted. The crystal matrix is starting to self-organize. Commander Tanaka's voice cut through the stream of technical updates. Is it supposed to be making that sound? A low hum had begun to emanate from the test chamber, rising and falling in pitch like some vast cosmic wind instrument. Dr. Volkov consulted her instruments, frowning. The crystals are resonating across quantum states. They're singing to each other. Coherence at 60%, O'Neill called out. Approaching the aliens' theoretical maximum, now. The entire team held their breath as the readings climbed past the point where the original builders had declared the project impossible. The humming grew louder, and the light display more intense. 70%, 75, wait. Torres's voice sharpened with concern. We're seeing power fluctuations in the containment field. The quantum resonance is becoming unstable. Warning lights flashed across multiple displays as the crystal matrix's glow began to pulse erratically. The humming shifted to a high-pitched whine that set everyone's teeth on edge. Shut it down, Commander Tanaka ordered, but Dr. Patel held up his hand. Wait. Look at the pattern recognition displays. The crystals aren't failing, they're adapting. Dr. O'Neill's eyes widened as he studied the chaos theory models. He's right. The instability is forcing the crystals to evolve their quantum states. They're learning. The next few minutes felt like hours as the team watched their creation wobble between stability and chaos. The crystal matrix pulsed with colors that seemed to leak in from other dimensions, while the quantum readings suggested physics-defying events were occurring on microscopic scales. Finally, the system settled into a new equilibrium. The unsettling whine faded back to a gentle hum, and the light display became a mesmerizing dance of coherent patterns. Final coherence reading. Torres's voice was barely a whisper. 89%. The control room erupted in cheers, but Dr. Volkov was already reviewing the test data. The crystal structure has completely reorganized itself at the quantum level, she reported. It's nothing like our original design anymore. The quantum chaos forced it to evolve into something new. Something better, Dr. Patel added. The aliens tried to build a machine. We grew an organism. The implications of their success took days to fully process. They had not only surpassed the aliens' theoretical maximum efficiency but had done so by creating what amounted to a new form of matter, one that could actively adapt to and manipulate quantum fields. But with success came new challenges. The evolved crystal matrix exhibited behaviors that none of their models had predicted. Sometimes it would spontaneously generate complex mathematical equations in its light patterns. Other times, it seemed to respond to the thoughts and emotions of nearby observers. We need to understand exactly what we've created here, Commander Tanaka insisted during the post-test briefing. This isn't just a power generator anymore. It's something far more significant. Dr. O'Neill spent hours studying the new data, his chaos theory model struggling to keep up with the crystal matrix's evolution. It's like we've created a quantum computer that operates on principles we haven't discovered yet, he explained. The aliens abandoned this project because they couldn't control it. We succeeded because we let it control itself. Dr. Torres discovered that the alien archives contained warnings about exactly the type of quantum evolution they had achieved. They saw this possibility, she revealed, but they feared it. Their entire civilization was built on predictability and control. The idea of creating something that could evolve beyond their understanding was unthinkable to them. As the team prepared for larger-scale tests, they grappled with the philosophical implications of their creation. They had not simply improved upon alien technology, they had fundamentally reimagined it in a way that reflected humanity's unique approach to the universe. Perhaps this is why we found their abandoned project, Dr. Patel mused one evening, watching the evolved crystal matrix pulse with its strange, beautiful light. Not because we're smarter than them, but because we're more comfortable with uncertainty. They sought perfection. We embrace imperfection, and in doing so, we find new kinds of perfection they never imagined. The research base buzzed with activity as preparations began for the next phase. They had proven that their approach worked, but scaling up the technology would present entirely new challenges. As humanity stood on the brink of a technological revolution, the evolved crystal matrix continued its quantum dance, singing its mysterious songs to anyone willing to listen and learn. News of the successful test spread across Earth like wildfire. Within weeks, the research base's population tripled as scientists and engineers from every nation arrived, eager to participate in what many were calling humanity's greatest technological leap. Dr. Volkov's materials lab had become the heart of the expanding operation. Growing the crystals at this scale isn't just a matter of making them bigger, she explained to the newly arrived teams. Each crystal cluster needs to develop its own quantum personality while remaining in harmony with the others. The challenge was unprecedented. They needed to scale their success by a factor of thousands while dealing with quantum effects that defied traditional physics. The original alien structure loomed above their work, a constant reminder of both the scale they needed to achieve and the conventional thinking they needed to avoid. Dr. Torres had made another breakthrough in the alien archives. They didn't just abandon this project, she announced during an emergency meeting. They actively suppressed research into quantum evolution. There are references to other sites, other experiments, all shut down because they were deemed too unpredictable. Their loss, our gain, Dr. O'Neill remarked, but Commander Tanaka looked troubled. Maybe they had good reason to be cautious. We're dealing with forces we barely understand. The warning proved prophetic. During the first attempt to grow a large-scale crystal matrix, something went wrong. The quantum harmonics that had seemed so beautiful in the smaller tests became destructive, setting up resonance patterns that threatened to tear the crystals apart. Containment fields failing. Dr. Torres shouted as emergency alarms blared throughout the base. The quantum cascade is accelerating beyond predicted parameters. Dr. Patel rushed to the control interface, his fingers flying over the controls. The crystals are trying to evolve too quickly. They're destabilizing each other. The chamber filled with a blinding light as the crystal matrix's quantum field began to collapse. Years of work teetered on the brink of disaster. But in that moment of crisis, Dr. O'Neill saw something in his chaos models that everyone else had missed. "Let them communicate," he shouted. "The crystals aren't fighting each other, they're trying to sync up. Disable the isolation barriers." It seemed suicidal. Every safety protocol demanded maintaining quantum isolation between crystal clusters. But Dr. Patel understood immediately. "Do it," he ordered. "Drop the barriers." The moment the quantum isolation fields came down, the destructive resonance transformed. The crystal clusters, now able to freely interact, began pulsing in perfect synchronization. The light display became a mesmerizing dance of coherent patterns, more complex and beautiful than anything they'd seen before. "They're networking," Dr. Volkov breathed, watching in awe as her instruments showed the crystal matrices merging their quantum states. "It's like they're forming a collective consciousness." The crisis had revealed a fundamental truth about their creation. The aliens had tried to grow their crystals in perfect isolation, controlling every aspect of their development. Humanity's crystals needed to grow together, sharing information and evolving as a community. This revelation transformed their approach to scaling up the technology. Instead of trying to maintain strict control over the growth process, they created environments where the crystals could develop naturally, influencing and supporting each other's evolution. "It's not just about power generation anymore," Dr. Patel explained to Commander Tanaka as they watched the expanded crystal network pulse with its otherworldly light. "We've created something that processes information through quantum relationships we're only beginning to understand." The implications went far beyond energy production. The crystal network displayed abilities that seemed to border on intelligence. It could solve complex mathematical problems instantaneously, model weather patterns with perfect accuracy, and even predict quantum events that traditional physics said should be completely random. "I think I understand now why the aliens abandoned this project," Dr. Torres said one evening, reviewing her latest translations. "They wanted a tool they could control. Instead, they glimpsed the beginning of something that would transcend them." As the crystal network grew, it began to exhibit even more extraordinary properties. Scientists reported incidents of apparent temporal anomalies near large crystal clusters. Others swore the crystals were responding to human emotions, their light patterns shifting in response to the moods of nearby observers. Dr. O'Neill's chaos mathematics suggested these phenomena were just the beginning. "The network isn't just processing information," he explained. "It's learning to manipulate the quantum fabric of reality itself. The aliens' power generator is evolving into something like a quantum neural network for the universe." Commander Tanaka organized daily briefings to help the team cope with the philosophical and practical implications of their creation. "We need to remember that this technology, as amazing as it is just a tool," she insisted. "It's not a god, and we're not its creators, we're its partners in exploration." But as the crystal network continued to grow and evolve, many wondered if that distinction would remain clear. They had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams in making the alien technology work, but in doing so, they might have initiated changes that would transform both humanity and the universe itself. Dr. Patel spent long hours watching the quantum dance of their creation, pondering the path ahead. "The aliens sought to impose their will on the quantum realm," he mused. "We chose to listen and learn instead. Perhaps that's always been humanity's greatest strength, not our ability to control the universe, but our willingness to grow along with it." 1 year after the first successful test, the Europa Research Base had become humanity's most important scientific installation. The crystalline network now encompassed the entire alien structure, its quantum-evolved matrices pulsing with energy and possibility. But the true revolution wasn't in the technology itself, it was in how it had changed humanity's understanding of the universe. Ready to begin final integration, Dr. Torres announced, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what they were attempting. Today, they would activate the complete network at full power for the first time. Dr. Patel stood before the main control interface, surrounded by holographic displays showing quantum field measurements that would have been incomprehensible a year ago. All crystal clusters reporting ready. Quantum coherence stable across all nodes. The activation sequence began, and the vast structure came alive with light. But unlike the harsh, controlled glow the aliens had sought, this was a living aurora of quantum possibilities, each crystal cluster contributing its unique voice to a universal symphony. Energy production exceeding original design specifications by 300%, Dr. O'Neill reported, his chaos model struggling to keep up with the network's evolution. But that's not the most interesting part. Look at these information processing patterns. The crystal network wasn't just generating power, it was thinking in ways that defied conventional understanding. It processed quantum information across multiple dimensions, solving problems that would have taken Earth's most advanced supercomputers millennia to approach. Dr. Volkov's materials science team had discovered that the evolved crystals could teach other materials to exhibit quantum properties. It's like they're awakening possibilities that were always present in normal matter, she explained. The aliens tried to build special materials. We've created materials that can help other materials evolve. Commander Tanaka organized a conference call with Earth's leading scientific institutions. What we've achieved here goes beyond energy production or computing, she explained to the assembled experts. We've created a partnership between human ingenuity and quantum evolution. The implications were staggering. The crystal network's ability to manipulate quantum fields had applications in every field of science and technology. Medical researchers discovered they could use quantum-evolved materials to repair damaged tissue at the cellular level. Climate scientists found ways to use the network's computational power to reverse environmental damage. But perhaps the most profound discovery came from Dr. Torres's continued study of the alien archives. They weren't the first, she revealed during a late-night briefing. There are references to other species, other civilizations that attempted similar projects. All of them failed for the same reason, they couldn't let go of control. And now they're watching us, Dr. Patel added quietly. The crystal network had begun detecting quantum signatures that could only be artificial in origin, rippling through spacetime from distant stars. We're not alone in the universe. We never were. We just needed to learn to listen in the right way. The success at Europa sparked a renaissance in human space exploration and scientific achievement. The quantum-evolved technology spread throughout the solar system, transforming everything it touched. Colonies on Mars became self-sustaining within months. The harsh environment of Venus yielded to human ingenuity enhanced by quantum engineering. But with every advance came new questions, new mysteries to explore. The crystal network continued to evolve, revealing layers of reality that even the most advanced alien civilizations had never imagined. It wasn't just a tool anymore, it had become a window into the quantum soul of the universe. You know what the real difference was? Dr. O'Neill mused one day, watching a new batch of crystals grow in the quantum nursery. The aliens saw the quantum realm as something to be conquered. We saw it as something to dance with. Commander Tanaka stood at the observation deck, looking out at the vast crystalline structure that had once been an alien failure and was now humanity's greatest triumph. We didn't just finish their project, she said. We reimagined it. And in doing so, we proved something important about humanity. That we're smarter than them? Dr. Patel asked with a slight smile. That we're different, she corrected. They sought perfection through control. We found it through adaptation and growth. Maybe that's why the universe led us to this place, because we were ready to learn its dance steps. As the crystal network pulsed with its otherworldly light, sending quantum ripples across spacetime that other civilizations would surely detect, humanity stood on the brink of a new age. They had taken an alien failure and transformed it into something unprecedented, not through superior technology or intelligence, but through their uniquely human ability to embrace imperfection, chaos, and change. The abandoned project had become a bridge, not just between human and alien technology, but between all the sentient races of the cosmos. In learning to dance with quantum chaos, humanity had found its place in the universal ballet. Dr. Torres made one final entry in the project log: the aliens who built this structure sought to harvest energy from the quantum vacuum. In doing so, they almost discovered something far more precious, that the universe is not a resource to be exploited, but a partner in evolution. It took a younger, more adaptable species to complete their work and reveal this truth. Perhaps that is the greatest legacy of their abandoned project, not the technology itself, but the lesson it taught us about who we are and what we might become.